Moving on to delegation. Number one, tonight's delegation is from Ms. Osob Mohamed, President of Simon Fraser Student Society, regarding the Burnaby Mountain Gondola project. Ms. Mohamed, are you with us? I see you there now, yeah. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. All right, I'm going to do a quick screen share. Perfect. And could someone confirm with me that you're able to see?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Well, first of all, I'd like to start off by saying a thank you to the Mayor and Council for inviting me to come and speak today at your meeting. And before I get started, I would like to acknowledge that the Simon Fraser Student Society and the City of Burnaby are located on the traditional unceded lands of the Coast Salish peoples. This includes the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Katzie nations. These are lands that have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and that we are currently situated on both occupied and stolen territories. So I would like to introduce myself to any of the council members who I have not met. My name is Osob Mohamed, and I am currently an undergraduate student at Simon Fraser University, and I'm also the president of the Simon Fraser Student Society. So for some background, the Simon Fraser Student Society is a student-led and student-created non-for-profit organization that essentially is here to be a advocating voice for students. We represent the over 26,000 students at Simon Fraser University, and the community is growing, and the community will continue to grow, as we have seen happen over the last few years. So I'm here in particular to speak about the Burnaby Mountain Gondola project, why it's important to us, and why we hope that this is going to be the way forward for not only the city of Burnaby, but for the SFU community as a whole. So what we found upon some of our consultation is that over 88% of our members regularly use public transportation to commute to class, and nearly 95% of SFU undergraduates consider reliable TransLink services important or very important to their quality of education and their quality of life. Back in January 2020, we hosted an open house in which we shared information and gathered feedback from our membership on the Burnaby Mountain Gondola project for over 2 days. This was pre-COVID, so that was a time when we were able to be together and actually have one-on-one conversations with students about why this is important to us. And we found that it is an item for students that has caused a lot of, emotion, and that's something that a lot of students care quite a lot about. The SFSS has been in support of the Burnaby Mountain Gondola project for more than a decade now at this point, and we're thrilled to see the project come so far. I also wanted to express my gratitude to the Burnaby City Council for supporting this project in principle in 2019. I think that was a great step forward, and I think that really goes to show that reliable transit is an important piece for all of us. So I'd like to talk a little bit about my own experience with transit. I've been at SFU for the last 5 years, and I have been a transitor that entire time. And I can say with 100% confidence from my experience and experiences of my peers is that what we have going on right now, unfortunately, is not sufficient. And I don't think it is going to continue to work in the long term. You may be wondering why myself, someone who is about to graduate, is coming here and speaking to you about the gondola. But I think a lot of students recognize that this is something that is going to be a legacy for students to come, and it is going to provide students with an opportunity to connect with the Burnaby city and be able to connect with the Burnaby community as a whole. So there are a couple of main points why the SFSS supports this project, aside from the fact that there is widespread student support over our 26,000 members. We do care quite a lot about the environmental and sustainability piece of the project. So we at the SFSS do have strategic priorities, and environmental sustainability and the protection of lands, the indigenous lands that we are currently working on, is a big priority for us. This is a reason why we've been in such strong opposition against projects like the Trans Mountain expansion, which I know you folks have been spoken against as well, which we do appreciate. And thinking about greenhouse gas emissions and the fact that there is going to be such a strong reduction in how much greenhouse gas emissions are being put out by diesel buses when they are hopefully one day eliminated and replaced with the gondola, to the tune of about 1,700 tons a year, is pretty significant in our opinion. We recognize that we're right in the middle of a climate crisis right now. We can see it outside our windows. We see it happen every summer when there are forest fires going on and the reduction in our air quality, et cetera. And we really do hope that this is going to be a piece that we can contribute to making sure that our environment and make sure our neighborhoods are continuing to stay safe. I have been at SFU since 2015, and another big piece of this that is quite important to me and others is the reliability and the safety piece. I know that you folks have probably heard time and time again about the issues with transit up and down Burnaby Mountain during inclement weather, like during the winter time. And I unfortunately cannot count how many times I have been stranded either up at SFU or down at Production Way Station because of inclement weather, because of snow, and because buses just aren't able to get up. That is a big piece for us as well. And the safety thing is something that we recognize as not only just a yearly thing when there's inclement weather, but in recognition of the fact that there is a tank farm and the Trans Mountain expansion going on in our neighborhood. There's only one way down the mountain right now, down Gallardi Way. And we recognize that having a gondola could potentially save us a lot of trouble when it comes to evacuating places like Burnaby Mountain campus, which on a regular basis has tens of thousands of people up there. And that's not including folks who live up at university and who work in businesses in the surrounding area. That piece is quite important to us as well. And we also see a big factor in the long-term financial savings when it comes to things like the elimination of the diesel fleet buses and how much cost savings will come out of that, and particularly the expansion and the redeployment, hopefully, of buses into the Burnaby neighborhood so that we can improve transit overall, not only just for students who are going up and down Burnaby Mountain. Those are some of the major points that we've been looking at and that we've been talking about. I think, and thank you to all the counselors who have taken some time to meet with me and my colleagues to discuss this project as well. And we really do see that the gondola is a way forward. However, we have also recognized that there are folks who live in the community who do have concerns, legitimate concerns about the gondola. And I've been really grateful to have the opportunity, myself and some of my colleagues, to actually have dialogues with the folks living in Forest Grove and living in surrounding areas. And we really come to the conclusion, or at least I come to the conclusion, that we do have a lot more in similar than we have different. A big piece for us is the safety of our communities, and I can acknowledge that that is the same for a lot of the folks who are living in the areas under which the Burnaby Mountain Gondola would be built. We spoke about the potential of, if there was an emergency, et cetera, with the gondola. And at the end of the day, we want to support a project that we know our students who are going to be riding the gondola on a regular basis are going to be safe doing as well. We really do think that this is going to be a way forward and that we can continue to have these conversations with TransLink and with other stakeholders to ensure the safety of this project, to ensure the privacy of residents who are living in the area, and to still find a way forward. Because at the end of the day, for us to remain at this standstill that we're at, in which we want to acknowledge the difficulties and acknowledge the issues that may come up with the building of a gondola, but also recognize that, students also deserve, I think, a good quality of life. And there has been quite limited, I think, interaction and quite limited consultation with students. I know that the time savings for the gondola has been something that's come up time and time again. But I can say once you've been standing down at Production Way Station or up at SFU and watch 3, 4, 5 buses pass you by because they're just full and you can't get on them on a day-to-day basis, it does have an impact on your quality of education. And I know anyone who has gone to post-secondary can agree that it is extremely expensive and that we already are putting in so much money to get an education that we would like to at least be able to hopefully get there in a safe and time-saving manner. Those are some of the main points that we have here. And something that I'd like to continue to do is to have these conversations with Burnaby City Council, but also acknowledge kind of the timeline that we're on. It's been more than a decade that we have been in support of this project, and we've seen it come so far. We do think that there are ways to move forward to, at the end of the day, come to a conclusion that is going to satisfy folks who live in the area and also satisfy the vast majority of folks living in Burnaby and Metro Vancouver and up at SFU who support the project, because we've seen that widespread support. I hope that this has given you a bit of context on the student background. I think that it's time to get this gondola built, and I really do hope that this will be a funding priority in the future and a priority for Burnaby City Councillors. Once again, my name is Osob Mohamed. I am more than happy to discuss this one-on-one with any councillors who I have yet to meet and to share a little bit more about the stories we're hearing from students. We're doing some outreach and we're looking forward to sharing those stories with you very soon. So I'd like to say a sincere thank you for your time. I'm happy to take any questions, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming to speak with us tonight. As always, a very clear and concise presentation. And I think everyone on council here knows the students' position on that's been very clearly relayed. The students' position on the gondola. But we also recognize that TransLink still has some work to do, and that will, we'll let them get on with that work, and then we'll reconvene and see where we get to. So thank you again for coming to speak to us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.